Great to see you all here after a little week of holidays. It's Hope you had a good break. I was going super intense and creating a huge, massive GLB collection, so no break for the wicked, as to say. So we're gonna go a little bit in reverse. We're gonna do a quick little recap, and that's gonna also including what we're gonna be doing today as well. So usually we do these metaverse runs at the end of the session, but now we're gonna do one at the beginning of the session. So I'm going to just share my screen and go live. So can you hear that? Can you see that right? Can you hear it all right? And let me just change in my recording so I'm recording the right thing. Explorer. Edge. Yeah, edgy times. So for peeps who have been here for a while, you may recognize this space. For extra points, anyone who kind of like guesses where this is gets a no prize, which is the best prizes. And also we open up with a plane avatar. Hopefully this will change at some point. Anyone? Anyone knows where this is? You can just shout. It's yeah, this is like the super early Mona Genesis space. Woo! Here we go. This is how everything used to be. Like it's very early on, and we kind of just gonna crawl in here to see how things have been once upon a time, how things are kind of cruising and everything else. Let's see where this get us a fix it. And so yeah, so basically, whoop, come on, there we go. By the way, like the reason my avatars get a little bit stuck at times is basically because when I'm recording with OBS, it doesn't like other things which are in motion. So like it's gonna so yeah, we got this old school avatar. This is an old school motor space. This is like I think it could be. I'm sure it's the first one, but it's definitely one of the first ever mint created. Um, Guest services, and yeah. So let's do a quick recap. So and we do a quick recap with a session. So by the way, I'm gonna do it as a host hangout and put a little pasting. So if you want to join me for the recap, more than welcome to do so. And whoops, I've just changed. So let's invite to the clipboard and paste that here. And there we go. So yeah, feel free to kind of like join me in there. There's just above there, I've pasted a bunch of VRMs from all the sessions. So feel free to grab any of those. Just highlight, control, copy, paste. And as you get to the invite, press 4, import custom VRM, paste that in there, and here we go. This is our first session. So basically, we're going to do like a quick recap and stuff. So first session, we've kind of did basically just an overview. Just what the hell are these VRMs? Like, what are these avatars? How do they work? Oh, hello, we got one already. Hi, Crux. Grab yourself a VRM from the text menu from the chat in the main stage. There's a bunch of them. So yeah, we've basically like just get on the stage. Get a little important right here. So we've got some points of interest as you kind of like these. Cool. So we got like some dance moves, don't we? Some new ones if I remember correctly. Let's see what Squiggle has been doing. Yeah, we'll just do that for a while. It's just having fun. So the first one we created Squiggle. So Squiggle was a super simple VRM, just kind of quickly drawn, quickly exported, like fairly down and dirty. Kind of yeah, and it all kind of works. It's linked in, you can jump and everything else. You can see it all works, and it's basically kind of demystifying the process, going from the beginning steps to the end steps, how it all connects together, how quick it can be, and then we can basically make it complex. That's literally just a sketch. And if you can make a sketch into a VRM which can move around, do lots of stuff, like dance and everything else, oh, here we go. All right, there's more than one. Then we can do much more stuff. And that will bring us really nice and neatly to the second session. The second session was humanoid after all, if we recall. Oh gosh, like I've timed myself out. Let me just reload myself. Apologies for that. It's the joys of metaverse creation. Any point now. Huh. That's sorry about this. I blame Microsoft, literally. Technology, when it's all flowing nicely, it decides to kind of like stop. If the Edge stops working, I'm going to jump to Chrome, to their competitor. Oh, here we go. Cool. So I'm in a Hangout, and I'm just going to like jump back quickly, and let me just type it in here. So the second session was basically humanoid after all, and we created this humanoid figure called Hoff. Basically, the thing to kind of like think about. So hi, like it, waiting in the meditation stage, and yeah, it's such a cool space. It's so nice and empty, and it's very simple, and reminds of the early days and everything. Which is basically like looking at the human model, like just a really simple humanoid. How it's because everything in VRM is based on this humanoid kind of like skeleton, effectively the armature. So how it's all kind of connected together, how it's like you can make it really quickly, but you know, being humanoid is something we can't really escape from, and it's just the way the VRM is all kind of formulated through. So I mean, there's ways of breaking out of it, but still kind of like gonna be humanoid. So that was our second thing, and you know, we've got like a cool little human right there. And it's kind of like, you know, we've got all these little things. It's a very humanoid figure, so kind of like lean more into it effectively. And yeah, so that was the second thing. Basically, just like, you know, it's all humanoid. It has to be humanoid. We can't get away from it. But how we can enhance it, how we can morph it, and just understanding the general principles of design. So if we have like one kind of thing which we design initially, like one subject which is created as a humanoid model, then we can build upon it, whether it's details, textures, or anything else that we kind of cruise on. So that brings us nice and neatly to the third session. So third session, it's also where we colored this guy in. So we kind of did a lot of these textures. And there we go. So we also kind of gave him a bit of texturization and stuff like that. And then I kind of enhanced it a little bit. So for the third session, kind of like did a little bit of a rainbow splurge. And that means that yeah, so this one I finished at home basically. I'm just going to enhance it a bit to make it more sharper. So yeah, and it's kind of like looking at texturization, looking at baking, how all those things work. You know, so it's second session is all about baking, about the two-dimensional elements, how we can basically create these 2D UV forms, import them, export them straight into the give me a wave. Woo! Yeah, straight into the metasphere. How you can all kind of like cruise around, work in various ways, and the potential of it. I mean, the potential is unlimited for 2D stuff, you know. And also, like to recap, the humanoid, we're looking for them to be super optimized. So that's 10,000 polys, 20,000 triangles in Blender. Yeah, like not very big. The whole thing needs to be one full shape. So basically we join everything together, even though we create stuff separately, and then we kind of get it in. And then we get it through the whole weight painting and everything else through Xamo, which is like a really quick way of doing it. And then we can adjust that stuff later on, and then apply the UVs in various ways. So here we got like 2-3 materials all applied together, paste it into one, put upon that, whacked it into Unity. Yep, yeah, he's still waiting. Whacked into Unity. It does. All worked into Unity, and then exported it as a VRM, which is super. So we got it all good. It's awesome. And then we're like, okay, well, these are basically the basics. We can build one thing, abstract, sketch, then we can make a humanoid, and it's all humanoid because it's based on a humanoid armature, and then we can rig it, export it, and then apply UVs to kind of give it texture, color, and everything else. And then we're putting it forward into the metasphere. So now we were like, okay, well, this is cool. How do we break this? It's humanoids can be fairly dull at times, and maybe we can do something better than that. Like we are metasphere. The identity of people in a metasphere, of humans, of personas, it's not linked with anything. It's not constrained by anything. It can be as wild, as wonderful as you want. You can be a bunch of jellyfish floating around. So our next session was I Dream of Spring Bones, which is basically all about breaking what we've learned. So how do we? So we did like a little addition. So we kind of like looking at. There we go. In my first little test, like here's a little tail. Let's see from the distance. There we go. Little dude with a tail. The little tail, it kind of floats around, and everything else. It's already break for the human model. And we also kind of looked at some examples and things how you can break it out by taking chunks out of him, restructuring meshes and models around the object itself for it to kind of work in that kind of way rather than being free floating, and then really thinking about all the various possibilities we have while still being constrained to this humanoid skeleton, bipedal skeleton, basically. It can be a gorilla, but it's fairly abstract and stuff like that. And also because all animations are linked to the humanoid skeleton, we also have to consider that as well. So, you can also sometimes like break it too much. So yeah. Oh, hello. I hear either I'm hearing myself or I'm hearing someone else. If you are there, say hi. There we go. He's showing off his tail. So we kind of like did like a nicer tail as well, rather than just like a super simple one. And we got haha. There we go. Hugs all around. So this is the last one we were left off. Sweet. So we got like this dude with like a bigger, fluffier tail. Like look at that. Really jump. There we go. And it's like it's got all that whiplash and everything else. Super cool, right? It's very nice. You can cruise around, and when we get like let's join together, and we get doing that. The tail does wild stuff as well, which is super nice. So basically, we're breaking out from the humanoid form. We're looking at all these kind of different options and how that kind of works. So we kind of basically that's like an overview of everything we've done up to now through VRMs, as opposed to me just didactically talking. So there was some visualized stimuli to remind all of us how it all kind of work together. And the reason like I'm doing this as well is kind of brings us to what we're going to be doing today. So if we think about again, so first one we did base, second one we did build, then we did bake, and then we broke, and now we're going to blast off. So that's 5 B's right there, because we're going to become. Sweet. So let's take a little walk, and that's going to make sense in a second. So when we go into Mona, if you notice that thing I was in the beginning, we have these little robots, little avatars. They're kind of standardized things. They're little robots. They all come together and stuff like that. But they're just like Unity bots, right? They're not specific to Mona necessarily. They're not specific to our community. They're not specific to anything. They're just like a standardized Unity little bot that we have. And our aim and object of today's VRM Power, designation Mona. So we're going to try to make something like this into something that is a lot cooler. Yeah, which is super duper. So we're basically going to try and whoops, good. There we go. OBS being OBS. Oh wow! See, like, how about that? That's all cool, right? So we're going to try to basically create a new Mona avatar, a new Mona avatar. Hello, guest, which hopefully will be something that can be used in future that people kind of take a new identity. But also we've got to bear in mind it's got to be relatively on brand regarding to Mona, so we can't go too wild with it. In a way, it's got to be something that people who are first time encountering Mona will be adapt to. In a way, it kind of reminds me of, I think it was Joe Shuster who kind of said about comic books. Like every comic book should kind of join on to the next one, but you're always going to realize that every comic book is someone's first. So we're trying to make like a Monatar that is going to be someone's first avatar, basically. It's going to be like the standardization that you can come in with, and it can be like fairly ubiquitous, fairly simple, but also something that can kind of like the people can latch onto, as opposed to a blank robot. But also, if you look at these robots, you just like get it more in person. Come on, there we go. So, they have a lot of like superfluous details on them. Like they've got this like, they've got this kind of weird chest thing as well on the front. So I'm sure we can. Yep. Sure, I can be not stuck behind it. But yeah, so they've got like this kind of like weird chest thing as well from the front, and a bunch of like these objects which can be probably done in a much cooler way. So we're going to be spending probably most of today. It's nice sunshine. It's vitamin D in the metasphere. It's going to be spending most of today straight in the metasphere. And in the metasphere of the vert. Oh wow, here we go. We've got two-tailed splurges. Woo! Just gonna want to jump around. Just the tails, like yeah. Just for the capitalization of that image. I do love those tails. They are so much fun. So yeah, so basically we're going to be jumping into vert, into VR, and I'll be attempting to do this. And I'd also really appreciate any of your input as well. So if you have any ideas, anything that you want to like point in, anything like that, like anything you think is super relevant and stuff like that, like please just like let me know. I'll be incorporating all those ideas into the design. So if you literally can just like shout, just say something, or like put stuff in the chat, and if someone can tell me that's in the chat, because once I'm in vert, I'm not going to see the chat. I'll be in virtual, so the chat will be inaccessible for me. But that is our designation Mona today. So basically, we're going to try and create a Monatar. We're probably not going to have time to create a full Monatar in one day. I'll be doing some homework, obviously, but we're going to be trying to today to kind of get the overall design of what it can be. Is it going to be one thing? Is it going to be a family that we can add things to? Like familia as in genera. Here's an object like a robot, and you can get one with a tail, you can get one with a bigger head, you can get one with different kind of things that we can add on. So like a bunch of really simple kind of things that can be done. These are all things we can all decide together. But yeah, so with that said, let's cruise into vert. That's just the echo of me transferring share screens. So I'm just going to change my recording quickly. You bear with me. So we're going to go from edge. Well, and everything looks fine. Everything looks cool. Fantastic. And yeah, like I said, like if you have any ideas, like any kind of suggestions, any kind of things that I should be putting into these, let me know. And I'm just going to change your screen as well. And also, by the way, like we've got a special treatment. We're going to the old school quill. I've got like dusted off my CV1 for super speedy elements and super light. So this is like my comfort zone. Let me know if I'm moving too fast as well, so these things don't get too weird. And go live. Cool. You can see that. Okay, everything's still recording. Fantastic. And here we go. Vert time. More batteries are full. Headphones are on. And get my controllers. And yeah. So here's stuff I made earlier. Let me know if you can see what I can see. If you can, give me a heart, thumbs, or anything. Fantastic, awesome, cool. So here's stuff I made earlier. Let me just make you, so we're not doing this, which is gonna be really discombobulating for you all. Let me just put like on a comfort zone. Where's the comfort zone here? Restrict camera location for comfort. All right, that'll do. Let's get some colors out there. Let's get some paints out there. That. And we got that, and make sure I can save frequently. So yeah, so I made like a little mood board. Mona has got like this really cool new branding that's on, and stuff like, it's gonna be pulling stuff like this, stuff like that, which is like really nice and bold with some flowy things as well, kind of stuff. And I think we should keep probably our VRM to these kind of colors. You know, so we're looking at like, I don't think it's like full black, but you know, kind of very, 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 very dark gray, and a little bit of a kind of this almost like rose red, pinkish color. And this obviously isn't full white either, so it's going to be a very, 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 very light gray in combination. By the way, you can see like those avatars have already taken some kind of chill poses beforehand, just all ready for rolling. And these are kind of like some of the shots. So to kind of like do a bit of investigation research, kind of like did a smooth board, but also kind of like looked at the avatarization in the process. So I mean, the whole kind of Mona community space is a great place to look at it. So you can see all of those kind of things all around. Let me just put a pointer, which is a little bit bigger and brighter, so you can see where I'm. There we go. So it's that salmon basically, and so just so you can, something that you can't see. Okay, cool. So you can just see like what I'm moving around, as opposed to like, where is it pointing to? I can't really see that. So it's more obvious. So let's go. So as you can kind of see in these various kind of places, when everything is white, if anyone has seen Summer Wars, it so reminds me of that. It's literally like, you know, we're recreating the metasphere starting from 2012. I think this one came out. Sorry, just my audio is kind of decided to jump out of my ears, not out of the recording things. Cool, fantastic. So, you know, you can see like a variety of avatars and VRMs, and you can also see how the bots look. And compared to everything else, it can look kind of super plain. So it would be really cool to have something which is like really in line with the Mona branding, you know, like in this kind of dark gray, kind of white, red, and also kind of like a shape which is maybe a little bit more exciting than that, but not necessarily overly wild like these ones, because, you know, it's got to be someone's first. Yeah, and so it's kind of like when people jump in, they've got like this kind of stuff, and we can make something which is a little bit more fun, a little bit more kind of like on brand with Mona, and also something that can be used for various things. And also, by the way, the short film festival is on, so you know, you may want to have a cast in there. We may want to see some background characters. And you know, once we create this thing, we can also change the skins and everything else. But to start off with, I think we're gonna be working with the Mona style itself. Just see, cool. We're bang on the timing. So I know we've got other sessions starting off. We'll probably be finishing off here in around an hour, just under. I know there's memory session is starting with half an hour, so you may want to. Some people may want to jump to that, and then there's another one later on in an hour and a half. So yeah, cool. So basically, this is my mood board. So we're looking at bold, big shapes. Bam, 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 bam. Nice graphic things. It's like if you like typography, That's just like beautiful. And also looking something that can fit in. They can fit in the whole ecosystem, not fade out, which could be like putting some shine, but maybe not too much. And that can be basically a monitor. So I'm just gonna like start kind of sketching some things. And if you guys have any other kind of like concepts and stuff like that, I'll be checking the chat periodically as well. So feel free to drop anything in there. And no matter how wild and crazy it can go. So let me just start with just turning out our little dude there. And let me just get this mono inspo chink chink. So it's quite nice to be surrounded by this kind of stuff. Let me just set it out. This is pretty small, and they're going to be around there. So we have references all around, but also they're not going to be hitting the tools. So, oh, that's a sneak peek. Maybe something I was working on earlier, how to break out from the humanoid form. If anyone's interested in quadrupeds, you may want to check out my developments in around 3 weeks' time. I think that's when I'm going to be scheduled to kind of start solving it. And yeah, so let me just see what general kind of colorization would be. So I'm going to take this, I'm going to duplicate that, boom, and I'm going to go to Monatar 0, triple O, because you never know. And let me just get those colors somewhere set out as well. So we got that color spectrum. So I'm just going to quickly make a couple of blocks. So we have our color palette. So basically we've got like 3 main colors to play with and stuff in between, obviously. Cool. And I'll turn my little thing on. No reason for those to be too big. Boom. So that's our red. Let's see what our black is, or dark gray. It's fairly dark gray, isn't it? And so that may not turn out that well. So let's just change the background to a little bit. Yeah, that's too light. Cool. So I can see what I'm doing. Find like personally a little bit darker background works for me, but you can't really see the dark colors in there as well. And let me just get that brand white. Fantastic. And just get like that that little bit of gray we've had as well. Cool. Cool. So that's our color system. Basically, those are the ones we're going to be restricted to. I think a sharp palette is the way to go. Yeah, Pixel Girl. Monetary Monoverse. Nice. It does go together, right? You know, in a way, like in the whole Digisphere, it's a big labyrinth of all these worlds and portals. And in a labyrinth, you have a Minotaur. And in a mono labyrinth of portals and worlds, we have a Monitor or Monitor. So that's super cool. So I'm just going to color it up, just kind of get like a semblance of the colorization we can have and play with. And then we're going to start reblocking it. So let me just kind of play around a little bit. This is going to be like, just stay to white. Yeah. Okay, just paint it now, go to choose everything. And select everything. Yeah, there we go. So I'm just gonna, here we go. All right. See what it looks like. It's kind of like quite interesting already. It's kind of like those VRM power, like the intro I've kind of created it with. It was like almost becoming things like an Android creations. I mean, that's kind of where I'm kind of thinking of going with this in a way, like having those kind of like intricate, kind of like small little details and how they recreate themselves to create a new object, a new creature, but yet in a distance, they kind of fade away into the background. So being 1024 UV, we can't put too much into it, but we can play around with it. So we can do that. Okay, that's interesting. Let me just see what kind of happens if I take off the top. That's kind of very cool. That could be cool. Maybe like a walking letter font, right? That could work. No, but the dark is very dark there. Maybe it needs to be less of it. What if we did it chicka 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 chicka? Like so. Yep, yep. If we did it on each side, like that could bring it a bit more detail. And maybe on the other side. Obviously not likewise. Maybe black's too black. Maybe it needs to be gray. Let's try that. So this is like the playing part. Just gonna try to kind of, gray looks kind of cooler, right? So I think like if we're gonna make it into the colorization anywhere, we probably ought to kind of like use gray to black in the UV bakes. So kind of we start off here and I do it as a highlight point of all the parts. So this is what I mean. So let me just jump in here. Enable something. There's no effect. Restrict. Generate. I've already enabled it. Settings, statements. Yeah, I already have. We can save, but I didn't. But I must have. Let me just kind of like that. Let me just add a little bit of highlighting here and there. And there and not. Cool. That's almost a little friendlier. Okay. But actually, that's a really cool little part. So getting into those kind of changes as well. So maybe that'll be cool. Like it's kind of like a ballet dancer in a way, but it's mostly because of the shape of the character. So that's kind of cool. But well, let's bring some red in and see how that'll work. There's a red head. That's too much. I think red needs to be subtle and in small places. A bit like red eye. That's an obvious. I mean, that kind of looks fairly cool, like a Batman from the future character, almost. And maybe you can have because that's a certain red in emotion. So maybe it needs to be somewhere in emotion red. Let me just add a thing. It's kind of like that, isn't it? So, cool. Yeah, that's it. So, just see what that's going to look like. Make it a little bit thinner. Just to see. It's just like bend it over. We can see why I chose these colors. Like they go really well together, right? Now is Nike. Just make sure that we don't get there. Mr. Q. Vertical bulb, and then close it. Cool. Okay, that's kind of interesting. Also, like, if anyone's got any suggestions, like, feel free to drop it on the chat. Okay, that's cool. Let me just put it to the side. Let's do another one. So let's take this off, and let's go. Here we go. Start with. Start with all gray. I'm just gonna make it a little bit quicker for myself and put it in a new layer. So like in this stage, all right, gonna work fairly messy because these are just our color blockings to get some stuff out. Cool. Means I can just do stuff like this. Okay. Super plain. But when it's plain, we can start developing that into something else. Like boots. Kind of like a reverse thing. Huh. That kind of works. What if you kind of did let me just reduce that. That's kind of interesting as well. Kind of works, and kind of want to put it. I think like with the red, it works best if it's like just one thing as opposed to too much regarding the simplicity of the character. I'm just gonna put like a show here. Put just a red dot, like a that's someone switching it on. It's very kind of superhero-y as well with like these hands. Maybe the hands need to be lighter rather than darker. What if the hands are red? See it. That's very tense. But it can maybe have like small details. So I wonder how that will work. So in the same way that the red is over there, just add some. Say it's got kneecaps or something. Maybe the kneecaps attract too much. But maybe like a couple of details somewhere here and there. That's kind of interesting. I think like it's quite cool, maybe not to have facial features. Like this one's got like a little eye and stuff like that, but doesn't have to be one eye. It can be like with two eyes and a mouth, with three eyes. And now we have this very, more kind of radioactive and stuff like that. But there's something nice about it being relatively blank in the face. I think that kind of works. So maybe we'll just take that bust as a concept. Take it back. And I'm just gonna put it over there as a reminder that that's kind of working. We'll check those. Video loops with the textures. I've seen it being done. I need to check how, which would be super cool. I've seen like VRMs with like small video loops, and I'm not sure exactly how it works. But I've seen them work on that in Space's metaverse. Yeah, I'm not sure whether it's like a one material with a short loop, or whether it's one material with basically stretches and movements, as opposed to a video loop, if you know what I mean. So it could have like material. Let me just like grab this, bam, and then it could be something like you apply this on the material itself. So the material itself is in motion, which gives you an effect that it's kind of moving. I think it's kind of how it's done. But yeah, like it's something I want to check out as well, because that'd be super cool, right? You could like create a character which is there's something for you, Paradox. You can create a character which is like basically a TV. And you can kind of just just grab that on, and then you can just Basically, there you can have like a film camera or whatever. That could be like lots of cool moving stuff. Just fun party. Sweet. Cool. I kind of dig the whiteness. But what if his hands were white? Or maybe it would work better as dark. Let's have a splurge. Try this one. I don't know. I think there's something nice about the hands kind of fading out as well. Almost kind of like it's almost like the reverse of what happens when you kind of come into the metasphere. Like usually you just see your hands and you never see your feet. And we can kind of do the reverse. You can't really see the hands much. That's interesting. Maybe the transition isn't as good there. That's a bit better. Cool. That's already looking like something fairly cool. I think I would. It's so weird. Like when you color stuff, it changes the rest of the colors. So that's kind of one thing to bear in mind. So let's park this. Let's do another one. So this time let's start from dark. Ah, thanks. Yeah, fading times. Bada-bum. So let's just grab all that and start. Go this. See, I think like that'd be super intense. It would definitely stand out though, right? Like if you can imagine grabbing that and then nice and then we have all these around here whacking in there. That could kind of like work almost in a kind of weird way. Yeah, that's a kind of good thing to maybe to try out. Let me just see how the other ones fit in. Yeah, that kind of works as well. Yeah. Let me just pepper these around here just for positions. That can go there. This is kind of nice and bold. I think he'll stand out here. Yeah, it actually blends in totally, right? It's kind of cool. It's literally made like the monospace, like top button, bottom. Maybe that's the way to go. It's the other way around. And full red. Let's see what we can get this full red one in. Just gonna really have a little play with it. So yeah, I'm here. Bit of both. Kind of, I like the kind of half and half in a way. But I call full dark at the top. Yeah, I don't know, like this is just so intense, like the colorization. What if just like sort of that we go like this? Well, it's definitely got some good Jim Jams. Just grab that. And yeah, that kind of works. Definitely in the mono colors, right? Those things definitely kind of do some stuff there. Let's make it in here. Chink. Yeah. Cool. Okay, so got some kind of ideas when it comes to colorization. And I think it's like a lot of times when you create stuff, it's going to be done regarding actually the structure. So I'm just going to put these behind here. Fantastic. Sweet. We'll check and how we're doing. Cool. We're rolling. Right. So the next one to kind of consider is the shape. Like this is a very masculine shape. Like all of these are. But I think like for the Monitor, it probably ought to be androgynous, right? Like, people come in and, which is why robots work a lot so well like, a lot of times. You don't want to feel like you're any gender. You want to be kind of genderless, formless, effectively. It's you want to be the water, just a bunch of electrodes that become something. So, I think like the the monitor probably ought to be a lot less gender formed and a lot more androgynous, basically, like an android rather than a robot. What about an android? So that's kind of cool, like a simple alien-esque looking thing. So let's just do kind of block shaping quickly. I'm gonna make a new layer, go block shape. But I think we still want to remain the general humanoid form, primarily because all of the animations and everything else should work perfectly on it, as opposed to kind of breaking up. So we're not going to go small, we're going to go big. We're not going to go like super thin or super fat or super large, or going to retain that kind of basic structure. So let's do some blocking, and so grab like this little mid gray that kind of looks, yeah, that looks fine. And let's, I looked at this, I'm kind of like thinking that animated Batman, it's all got these like very kind of bold kind of lines. And I think this shape, that kind of movement, that reminds me of that. It's like it's a kind of like neon gothic gaudy late 50s kind of getting onto like early to some part in the 60s kind of like design. And yeah, let's move in that when it comes to our design sensibility. Let's go bulky, let's go square, not bulky, but just square. This will force our hand into creating a certain kind of style. So let's go big, that be the body. And for the blocking, I like to put on my mesh view. Let's go. Yeah, it's gonna be humanoid. So it's got a chest this kind, like that's where its lungs are. Android lungs, as such. And we just drag the little thing out here. Okay, and let's get its legs. Boink. When in doubt, measure against what you measured before. That's good. Move it there. Just double it up. That probably should be bigger. I'm getting something more. Let's go for a ellipse down here. Across that, sweet. Something a little more like that. Now it'd be nice to kind of have a bit more of a cut in there. Kind of looking at, let's get a line on. Looking at kind of this kind of shape. So keeping that androgyny, but allowing for the hip motion and everything else. So when it dances, you have like all those mid torsos and stuff like that moving around as well. So it's not that perfectly straight, but it's not exaggerated like the female form, which would be like that, and it's not exaggerated like the male form, which would be like that. So going for like the happy medium, the happy in between. Cool. Then arms probably should be a lot less bulky than this. Sweet. Maybe not as thin that either. So put some functionality on them, but fairly workable. And for the hand, we're just literally going to, for the purpose of this, copy and paste the hand. Take it off. So I don't have to redo the one for the sketch, just so you know. We can orient things together. So we're kind of like getting something which is a bit more of that feel. And let's just put it around there. So let's get this forearm working. Fuck it up a little bit. Boom. Get some kind of musculature. Then we can basically make it like slenderish, but so you can all kind of work together. You just want to. This is just like a sketchy phase. Whenever I'm doing VRMs, avatars, I kind of like to think of, one thing is just to create stuff, but also like I often talk about like, a family, which is basically a family of VRMs. Like, each one of these could be taken out and rigged separately and made into VRM. So, you can kind of like, if you create a good enough structure in the beginning, you can start adding to it. So you can kind of, you're like, okay, well, this is really cool, but what if I wanted to one with a hat? And you can just go down. And it's like, oh, sweet. It's got like this, okay, structure. And it kind of still works and everything else, and then you go like, I don't want it to be a hat, I want this hat to be a saucer. And then it's like, okay, that still works. So when we're creating VRMs and we're creating like things which we can build upon in the future, that's the kind of shape we kind of want to kind of think about. So for here, like just the blocking, the androgynous blocking, this is kind of all right. Let me just get that. I want it to be a little more seamless. So I'm just going to literally do a singular block like that. Right. Nope. A little bit small. There we go. Let's just enlarge it. Yeah. Cool. Okay. Just kind of trying to get those. I kind of like that. Looks like I'm more to get the stuff. So I'm going to move that there. Introduce that here. So like this block space is where I'm going to build upon. They don't have to be too big. Don't have to be too small either. We want to increase. I want to send those fingers out a little bit in a second, but let's just get that nice and thin. And shavo! So that's kind of cool. Let me just move that, extend that a little bit. So a lot of kind of creation is at this stage is all about playing, all about trying to discover new things, getting carried away in the depth of creation itself, which kind of leads to these cool things. So now we can kind of think about that's cool. I'm just going to take that. I'm going to copy it to the next layer. Boom. And figures, I forgot to put my little copier off and flip it. Sweet. So that's all right. It's got like some kind of character thing happening there. Obviously, like the legs are terrible, we get to those. But like those arms got like nice proportionality to them. So I think that's what we're gonna keep too. Having that kind of like not necessarily straight line. Just like add a little bit more shape. So boom, and then boom, and then like that. You kind of flow, right? Take this off. Freeze that. Put a new layer. Yeah, so they kind of float, but still they're kind of, you know, we can keep like a part of this angular design, maybe. We just like keep an edge to it, and then we'll build upon that. That could be cool. Rather than being fully circular, like so, and going in. Maybe it can be more square, more bulky. That guy's just looking at me over there. Just gonna hide that. Just give me the heebie-jeebies. Sweet. Let's get in the neck. Shimmer. So the neck should be fairly. Actually, let's do the head first, and we'll see the neck. And before I do that, let's give it like addition to the torso. So we'll do that. So when I like to block things, I kind of like just these big geometrical shapes that kind of give a lot of direction, especially because it's so restricted in the metasphere in regards to the data and meshes and triangles. Kind of, just doing stuff like that will give us a lot of information, and sometimes it also provide a solution of something as well. Because you think, maybe I'll just keep that. Maybe I'll just do something like that, but simpler. Because you can take that, go here, and then bam, and you've got very small amount of mesh. But that kind of creates that part. It's just kind of blocking that in. I kind of like having this little bit of backpack at the end, like very slight. So maybe if you're having it at the back, and let me just. So we're having like a back, and then we'll do that, and I'll go in, and then I'll shimmy that down, and let's me. So maybe like if I go to, let's go to this one. I'll keep playing with this one too much. If you play with one too much, you get attached, right? It's like your favorite toy, and then it's hard to be. So that's kind of nice having a. Maybe having like that. Maybe having like a little kind of almost backpack here at the side, because like a lot of times when we see our VRMs, we see them from the back, our own ones anyway. It's only like the other people's ones we see from the front. We see them, and let's just that's kind of like something like that. Just a little design choice, maybe even more subtle than that. But I think it's all about being subtle. And you can kind of just have it like that. Now let's just do a little grab of the vertex. Kind of almost needed to kind of create a motion.
Can I ride in the backpack?
Yeah. It's a nice little thing to it, right? We'll add something to it rather than just being like a normal Android. Kind of, it's like a battery pack, right? When a battery pack expires, that's cool. Batteries in a metasphere. Let's just go with that. So battery pack expires. It can also give like a detail there. That's your little line. When that expires, then you got to refill it. Stops working. That'd be sweet. That could kind of work. Maybe have like a overworking now, little line. Something like that. Maybe that line is too much. Let's put it there. We don't want it to look like a face either. And take that. Just looks more like a face now. This thing with like human beings, we see faces everywhere. It's like there's a line, there's a mouth, eyes, even when they're like upside down. It's but it's no idea. So you could kind of do that. And now he's got hair. I'm going to stop on that one. But that's a nice little idea. That's kind of thing to keep in mind. So let me just grab that. So these are kind of all kind of visual things. I'm going to do that here. Let's do it there. So we got a backpack. We got this kind of plain white head. And this plain white head is kind of like pointing forward. So let me just see what this looks like onto generic. See, it's not too masculine, I think. I think it's because of the size of it. It's the neck. So let me just take the neck off. Oh wait, just take this off. That's why it's doing that. Cool. There we go. And I think it's because of these. These are giving me that kind of triangular look. So just shove it right down. So it should be more like an oval. That's better. Just stretch that in, inside. A little tuck. Oh, it's even worse. Yeah, something like that. Yeah, just play my shape. So maybe like that. That's more androgynous. It's more like a nondescript robot thing. And we just add some kind of circular joints here, just kind of equal stuff out. It should be kind of like jointed together, right? It's getting somewhere. I'm not sure about the shape of the head. Like this kind of head works really nicely with a bigger neck because it comes basically as a mountain. It kind of just peaks out, right? And when you have like a thinner neck, the head kind of gets lost. So time to get ahead, right? So let's get ahead with this. Put a boom. Just do a couple of shakes. Just play around with. Just it's too sharp. Looking for a generic key shape, but not too generic. With some kind of character in there. Let's go for. This is what they're kind of right at the moment. So we've got basically a face looks back at you, but maybe just a really blank face, just a very, very blanky blank. Kind of like rather than being forward like that. Just grab this as well. Nothing to say that it has to be that way. What if it's I mean, it could be sculptural. It's pretty wild. Every now and then, if you get like a wild card, and you're like, probably not, but we'll just keep it there for the sake of it. It's almost like a walking hell sculpture. It's got a kind of like a Magic the Gathering metal realm vibe to it. But let me just take this head off. Maybe it's better without that. That's kind of more like it, but I think I want it to be. Actually, I don't mind being like that, but without the cool sockety thing. Let me just see what that's gonna look like. Put it in, tuck that in, tuck it in a little bit less. Sneaky, 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 sneaks. Sneak, sneak. Forward, forward, forward. Squish, squish. Reduce that poly. That's kind of interesting. Rover, rover. Before you get hungover. That kind of works more for an Android, right? Immediately, it's kind of like less bulky. It's a little bit more longer. It's got like this kind of like it's got this kind of like weird, almost alien-esque little oval at the end of it, which I kind of quite like. It kind of reminds me of like those little kind of skulls that were found. People used to elevate their heads for giggles and stuff. I think kind of Takeru's got a chin. So it's got like this kind of alien quality to it. I almost want it to be a little bit more fatter just around here. I mean, like when it comes to building the actual thing, you can just like add another thing. But I just want to see how much you can work with just simple geometry, because you always have to be aware of these polys. Because if you're just sculpting like in medium, some of that, or even here, you can kind of just keep adding on things. Like okay, kind of this. I can like increase all that and do that stuff, and kind of create everything else. But it's a low poly environment in the metasphere, unfortunately. So kind of a lot of times we're literally pushing vertices to kind of achieve as much as possible. So let me just block the top part of it a little, and then unblock this, block that, unblock this, block that.
And there's something very meditative about watching this and doing it, I assume. Like a Bob Ross episode.
In VR. The only thing Bob Ross is probably a little bit more calm, as opposed to kind of like, let's move it over here, let's move it over there. Yeah, completely.
Which software is this? Which software is this?
This is Quill.
Quill. Okay, cool.
Yeah, this is Quill. So this is made by Inigo Quilles. Inigo Quilles, who did the shader toy for Pixar.
Oh, wow.
And he also created Shaderverse, which is a mathematical way of creating super efficient polys and stuff like that. He wrote this program, well, the initial bare bones of it, like in a hackathon in a day.
Wow.
And I mean, I love it. I mean, it's used for animation and stuff like that. So you have like the animate, and you have like a full-on spectrum, and you basically can create animations with cameras and everything else for the metasphere as well. So you can create it for VR use. And there's a whole little community of people who do that, which you're not part of. And yeah, you can have these kind of weird animated things in VR, and they'll kind of float around you and stuff like that. But the thing is, like, you're always like so restrained with how much you can put in. I think like it's 1.5 gig for animation, which is not a lot, I kind of like dig that head. It's got like kind of this kind of weird African mask stroke, elongated alien-esque vibe and stuff like that. Just those general kind of like simple shapes and things, Yeah. And it kind of works well with this kind of like long Modigliani style neck. Yeah, I kind of dig that. That's interesting. It's got like a nice feel to the shape. Cool. I wonder what it's going to look like on a different one. Let me just grab this. Yep. There we go. Let's take his head off. The one fell swoop. That's the French Revolution right there. Boom. I've got a feeling it's going to work even on the other ones. Yeah, it kind of does, right? Obviously, he's got like this neck formation that I created for the thick neck. Well, you can just smooth this down. That kind of works as well. And you have a little backpack and stuff like that. So that leads you to think that backpack would probably need to be, neck would need to be at an angle, right? Backpacking. When it comes in, that's too much of an angle. So neck probably needs to be fatter at the bottom, design-wise, not if you want to look like fatter at the bottom. And then we can basically have one straight thing for the neck, when it can like move that into the back as well. So we're super efficient. So that's kind of coolish. something's happening there. But we'll probably redo the body to make it a little bit more androgynous, like a sketch. And just gonna check. No problem, Spectre. Like I didn't hear anything. So yeah. But yeah, so this is interesting. I'm kind of digging that. Let's just like color this up. Let's but when making stuff, it can be really messy at this point. You can just kind of like be like, yeah, let's move that over there. Actually, you know, we could make all of these into VRMs as well. It's like there's a whole host there, just in no time, which is nice when you're kind of creating like these kind of genera. You know, you can build upon them and everything else. It also helps that the hands are pre-done. And I need to like think about the feet as well. But you never see your feet in a metasphere. Like you always get sort of cut off unless you go really far out and stuff like that. Unless you go upside down now. So you know, you should give attention to feet. Like feet and neck. Feet and hands. So let's just get rid of these parts. And let's color this end. It looks like I'm building a C3P almost. It's very rudimentary. Which kind of we are. Okay. It's definitely robotic. We want to be more organic, so we'll let's just
the shape of the arms, the length and stuff reminded me of that robot from the Star Wars movie recently. You know, his jet black Imperial robot that they've.
The Hunter.
Yeah.
Yeah. I know exactly which one you mean. The one with a kind of like, it's got a head like this, just like boom, kind of, and then it's flat on one side. If I remember.
Yeah, it could be, and he's definitely androgynous, kind of like C3PO, I guess.
Yeah. I think it's also because we have this chest thing and then like nothing there. So obviously humans have all that stuff. So I mean, this is just it's just like a bulk that we can build on. That needs to be lower. And that needs to be higher. And over there as well. A little higher. Yes. And that needs to be flatter. I'm gonna try avoid. Basically, the front should be just that line, right? So probably we'll end up using not ribbon brush because ribbon brush goes crazy. Ellipse. Very been all my life ellipse. So I'll just move that over there. Get ellipse over here. Yes. Now we're talking. Now we're cooking on electricity. Get a little bit more of that. So yeah, some more of that. And then getting a little bit smaller. Ha! Couldn't resist, sorry. It's like, it's got a bit of armor plating. Just take this off. So I like that kind of shape in that line, and I really want to retain that structure of the line there, kind of in the thing. And it's all about kind of getting this position, because most of the action is going to be here and here when it's working in Metasphere, and obviously like in the legs and stuff like that. But like when it comes to like the top torso, that's where the joys are going to be. And I've just set a ping. We only have a gosh, time does fly. We only have 10 minutes left because there's a bunch of sessions that people are going to be doing afterwards. So we need to make sure that they have time to get to. But this is a good start, I think. You just look at colorization here quickly while I'm here. So it's like that. And the thing is, like when you're creating characters and you're creating stuff in virtual, especially, I do. I spend literally days in here. Huh. That's doing something else. And when you change polarization, because you can do it so quickly, you suddenly start getting like these other kind of shapes you start moving around. Because then if we go like this, we can start seeing what they actually would look like. So let me just bring that right down a bit more. No. Around there. Yeah. Like that. Uh-huh. I kind of like that. I like the kind of fade. Kind of like looks very ghostly. I think the arms are too big for it. That's what's kind of putting us off. Because if you look at monster arms, that should be that size. Because of anatomically did the other guy. And that's going to start looking a little bit more humanoid. I really like the kind of Android look, right? And I need to figure out how to create like the texture for it. So that's that'll be my homework. Yeah, that's just kind of getting there. So let's get rid of this, which is a thing that's kind of blocking us in. Let's get these a little bit more in. You can kind of see how the block is working. Let's give him a little backpack from earlier. Chink. He's already got that kind of shape, so we just accentuate that. I like that detail on the backpack. The neck can go in. I like that it's kind of faded. I think it's going to work. Is this a little bit more Brandza? Let's just quickly have a check.
Is this
Okay.
the Mona avatar?
Yeah,
Yeah, cool.
in production. Hopefully. Yeah,
Are those boots?
yeah. I will change the boots to more like a leg thing. Let me just do it now. Because those legs are super simple. The feet are a bit too big, but we can just. There we go. Red boots, huh? That could be great. Just get these to be smaller, these feetsicles.
It'd be cool to have both a male and female version of the avatar.
Yeah, I mean, the only thing is that when you're kind of jumping in, right? You don't know which one you're going to be.
Yeah.
That's kind of the only thing. And sometimes you want to be in between. So
It's true.
We want to keep all options open. Because as I said before, like you've got to look at it as being someone's first of anything.
I sang a song about that at one time. I was on mushrooms and I made up a song about jumping into androgynous VRs and VRMs in VR.
Awesome.
I'll have to sing you a rendition sometime, not today.
Yes.
That sounds super wild. Well, you know about Jason Lanier, who's he's a technologist, like an old school one, and basically it's not really theory. It's kind of like it is. But he was saying that because all creatures upon this planet have genetical memory of all creatures upon this planet because we evolved there. It's inevitable. It's literally in our DNA. It means that basically you can inhibit anything that's already existed on the planet, and you will understand what it is and how it's inhibited. So let's go look more at that, right? So you can be an octopus, and very quickly you'll feel that you have like 8 arms, and you'll feel them and stuff like that. You can be like an arthropod and have like hundreds of legs and stuff like that, which is like wild, but it kind of makes sense. So through virtue, we can explore different identities, and not just human identities or even mammalian, but like anything that's existed on this planet.
Wow.
And this is like what we know exists on this planet. And who knows what we'll be able to discover as you kind of dig deeper into it. It really is kind of like fascinating stuff. Let me just grab that little thing. Just get it get a whoop, vertex in there.
I want to access my ancestral bacterial memories.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, the other thing as well is super cool. Like, apparently, you can also create yourself into multiples in the kind of same way that humans do when they play jazz or when they play music and stuff like that, like, or sports. You know, there's like a set rules of a game or set rules of musical composition, but you don't know where you're going with it, right? And based on that, you can kind of go anywhere. So you can create virtual identities which are inhabited by multiple people, each controlling a part of it. And apparently, experiments that have done, like after a while, for a relatively short time, people really get a hold of it. It comes intrinsic to us, which is nuts. It's like, you know, we can all be a giant robot. Power Rangers were documentary, after all.
Power Rangers, yeah.
Or Voltron, like either one. I think Power Rangers have more comical appeal though. So that's kind of working all right, cool. So that's a little band over there. That's can be in there, and that can be stretched out. Look at that. Now I reckon that hand is cool. I'm gonna take this one off. I'm gonna take this one back on. And copy, paste, flippy flip. Yes. Exposes that to be further there. I like the side a lot. And it needs to be going up a little bit.
Hey Augie, this is Memory. A couple of us are gonna pop out and do the Oasis now. So if you hear a couple of us leave, it's
no
not
worries.
because we don't like the
Oh,
concert.
thanks for hanging out so long.
Yeah,
I may jump into Oasis briefly as well. There's like this thing at 9 my time, like as well, Mona thing. So it's an evening of Mona. So I'll probably jump in for 5 minutes just to see whatever we're doing, and I need to spend some time properly in it because I've got a lot of builds lying around that need to be integrated within it.
Totally.
Yeah.
Sounds great. This has been really fun to watch.
Oh, thank you so much. Happy days. And let me just go this. That's looking much more like it. Let me just get those lines a little bit more in, as opposed to straight, because you know he's going to be straight. It looks like he's got a hemorrhoid problem. I'll just fix that. Cool. I like that side. So let's just copy paste. And flippity flip. Ah, didn't flip everything. And give it like just so it's. So this is great, and that redness. What if you like a red, just as a big red button? Can be. It's a bit. Reminds me of something I can't think of what. Maybe it should be a square. Something there. Like a turn on button. Yeah, like almost like an instruction robot. Or I'll get it like more android looking with some more humanoid shapes, structures and stuff. But kind of, I think there's something there. You know, switch it on as you enter Mona, and cruise around, and the battery runs out, and then you need to get your own VRM or build one. Awesome. I think I may, for the next session, I will finish it off, and I'll probably also like export a bunch of these as VRMs as well, so we can have like that evolution side. And maybe the head needs to be a little more forward, a little bigger. Down. So that's humanoid, and that's like robotic. There we go. And then if I go here, let's grab it away. So maybe, oh, that's what I need to do. Thinking of doing that before we cruise. Just see what it's going to look like. Yeah, I like that. I like these little fades. I think they'll make it stand out in the metasphere a bit more. And it can almost highlight the center part of it as well. And we can replicate that in UV design. So you can use it as a basis of it. And let's see how. Oh, awesome. Yeah, I'm digging that. I think we got something. So we went from here, which is like a superhero version of it, but also more generic, to something like this, which is a lot more, I think, a lot more elegant, a lot more fun. So if you look at it amongst other ones, let me just I'll stick it on here. There you go. And just take that. Just do manipulation. It's going to stand. Everything else. So seeing that its arms are a bit too long, but there's a reason for that, because when you rig them, lost the finger there. And when you rig them, that's going to basically dissipate into more like this. Let's do that. Diddle-a-tune. Did lose a bit of a finger, but shouldn't deal with sharp objects, right? So everyone says, and we can just, yeah. Hi, how can I help you? I'm the monitor. And we can kind of just double check how it will work. And I think the color coordination and the overall body shape, I think it's going to work. I think it just needs a bit more refinement. So it's got some kind of like physical details, but going much more for a humanoid rather than kind of Cosmopolis. Is it Cosmopolis? Metropolis, the movie. Kind of those kind of things. Obviously, Spider CP3O and all the other stuff. So going much more like humanoid kind of stuff. Think more Westworld series coming out of the data points with intricacies. I think it's gonna look cool. I'm just getting a bunch of places here. I think it's gonna work. Yeah, awesome. Cool. I think I'll save there quickly while I can. And I think we definitely got something to be workable. So in next week and next session, we're gonna think more. Basically, I'm gonna do the homework for it. No, too much. It needs to be one thing, right? Not too much. And kind of develop the musculature based on that. So it kind of all works nicely, but keeping that overall body shape. I'm really happy with that. And then we're going to do troubleshooting and UV baking. So we're going to start today off with the UV bakes, I think, and then we're going to troubleshoot the weight paints, which hopefully aren't going to be too bad, but who knows. And then we'll finish off by having a fun time, maybe even like 15 minutes or 20 minutes in Metasphere with a bunch of these VRMs we can all kind of try out, see how they'll work together in various functions. But yeah, so hopefully this is a little glimpse of how I do my creative process, and it's been nice hanging with you guys and making all this, and yeah, like building a monitor. It's all about these 5 V's. Started with a base, build,
nice one, Augie.
bake, bones, break, blast off. Sweet. I'm gonna jump from vert. Ah, sweaty times here in UK. Got to change my my package on it. But yeah, so thank you all for hanging. It looks like I've recorded everything, so winner. And yeah, I'll hope to see you next week. And we'll have a play with, we'll start off a play with a rigged one. We'll jump into the UV bakes, and then we'll do the troubleshooting probably for 45 minutes, just to kind of like also showcase how the troubleshooting of these VRMs go. I do warn you, those 40 minutes are going to be a little bit frustrating, but I'll try my best not to curse. Because troubleshooting is always like things break and we don't know why. But it's really interesting seeing when they do and finding out different solutions and stuff like that. But who knows? Who knows? Maybe we've all gotten so good at they'll just go seamlessly through. And yeah, thank you all very much. And I will sign off, and I will see you all later.